Welcome to Afric Vibe News, your go-to source for bold, authentic African stories. We bring you the truth behind the headlines, straight from the continent's heart. Disclaimer: content shared here is for informational purposes only and not intended as financial, legal, or political advice. Always do your own research. In 2025, we revisit the powerful words of former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe on Africa's unity and self-determination. As the continent continues its quest for cohesion and independence, we explore the enduring relevance of his 2016 African Union speech. Join us as we unpack its significance and what it means for Africa's future.
No interference with our sovereignty is not permissible at international law. Why does he continue to have this obsession with Zimbabwe? Who is he? What is he to us? We are not a British colony. You must know that.
Tell him again. Right. Tell him again.
So we are not a British colony. What have the British to do with Zimbabwe? Who are you? You bloody idiots.
Well, the UK is trying to run our country. Naturally, we resist that. We do not accept. We are not a British colony any longer. We are not the only developing country with problems. There are many countries with problems. Zimbabwe is far better than the average developing country.
On the 3rd of December 2015, the then 91-year-old Robert Mugabe addressed the African Union Summit in Johannesburg. It was an important moment, not only because it was his last major address, but also because of what he said. In his speech, Mugabe issued a powerful call to action for Africans across the continent to unite their efforts towards the progress of Africa. He spoke about the need for unity, economic development and political stability, and urged his fellow Africans to draw lessons from the struggle against colonialism and work together to build a better future for all Africans. But what did Mugabe really mean when he said that? And how relevant is his speech today? Let's find out in today's episode. It has been over 7 years since Robert Mugabe delivered his famous Africa for Africans speech at the African Union Summit in Johannesburg. The speech has become even more relevant in today's world and serves as a reminder of the power of unity and solidarity. As Mugabe so eloquently put it, we must unite our efforts if we are to succeed. If we don't unite, we will be selling our birthright, our freedom and independence. In this context, Mugabe was emphasizing the importance of preserving the gains made by African countries since independence and ensuring that they were not lost due to disunity among African nations. He warned that if Africans didn't unite and work together, they would be betraying the hard-won freedoms and independence that had been achieved through decades of struggle. This sentiment resonates deeply with the struggles and sacrifices of generations of Africans who fought against colonial rule and oppression. It is a clarion call for the continent to remain vigilant and united in the face of new challenges and threats. It serves as a reminder that the hard-won freedoms and independence must be safeguarded and built upon for the benefit of current and future generations. But let's take a closer look at what Mugabe said. At the time, Mugabe was both beloved and reviled across the continent. Beloved by those who admired his revolutionary credentials and unwavering commitment to Pan-Africanism, and reviled by those who criticized his increasingly authoritarian rule in Zimbabwe. Nonetheless, in his speech, Mugabe called for unity among African countries and leaders, urging them to put aside their differences and work together for the good of the continent. He emphasized the need to address pressing issues such as poverty, inequality and disease, and called for a renewed commitment to the ideals of the African Union. According to Mugabe, true independence meant more than just political freedom. It also meant economic and social liberation. He lamented the fact that despite being rich in natural resources, many African countries were still struggling with poverty and underdevelopment. He pointed to the exploitation of their resources by foreign corporations and the unjust global economic order that favored Western countries. Mugabe called for a new African renaissance based on unity, self-reliance, and sustainable development. He urged African leaders to invest in education, healthcare and infrastructure, and to promote good governance and the rule of law. He also called for greater cooperation among African countries in areas such as trade, transportation, and security. Mugabe emphasized the need to address regional conflicts and promote peace and stability throughout the continent. He cited the conflicts in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Libya as examples of how instability and violence threaten the progress of Africa. Mugabe called on African leaders to work together to find peaceful solutions to these conflicts and to prevent them from spilling over into neighboring countries. Above all, Mugabe called for a renewed sense of Pan-Africanism and a commitment to the ideals of African unity and self-determination. He urged young Africans to study their history and learn from the struggles and achievements of their ancestors. Mugabe also paid tribute to the many African leaders who had sacrificed their lives for the continent's freedom and independence. He mentioned figures such as Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Julius Nyerere and Ahmed Sekou Touré, examples of the kind of leadership that was needed to drive Africa's progress. As we know, Mugabe's speech was met with a mixture of reactions. Some praised him for his call for unity and his commitment to Pan-Africanism. Others criticized him for his failure to address the human rights situation in Zimbabwe or his controversial policies. However, regardless of one's political views, it is hard to deny the power of his words. In many ways, Mugabe's speech was a call for a new African renaissance. It was a call for the continent to come together and build a better future for all Africans. It was a call for unity, self-reliance, and sustainable development. Mugabe's speech was a powerful reminder of the potential of the African continent and its people. Despite the challenges and setbacks of the past, Mugabe believed that Africa had the potential to be a major force in the world. He envisioned a continent that was free from poverty, inequality and disease, a continent that was united, self-reliant and prosperous. In the years since Mugabe's speech, there have been some positive developments in Africa. Many African countries have experienced significant economic growth and have become major players in the global economy. There has also been progress in areas such as infrastructure development, education, and healthcare. However, there is still a long way to go. Poverty and inequality remain widespread, and many African countries are still struggling to achieve sustainable development. The COVID-19 pandemic has also had a devastating impact on the continent, exacerbating existing problems and creating new ones. Despite these challenges, Mugabe's words continue to inspire many Africans. His vision of a united, self-reliant and prosperous Africa continues to resonate with people across the continent. In particular, his call for young Africans to study their history and learn from their ancestors is more relevant than ever. Young Africans are increasingly embracing their heritage and using it as a source of strength and inspiration. They are also using social media and other platforms to promote Pan-Africanism and the idea of a united Africa. Mugabe's legacy is complex and controversial. On the one hand, he was a revolutionary leader who helped end colonial rule in Zimbabwe and fought for the rights of Africans across the continent. On the other hand, he was also responsible for some of the worst abuses of power in Zimbabwe, and his policies contributed to the country's economic decline. Nevertheless, his contribution to Pan-Africanism and his unwavering commitment to the idea of a united Africa should not be forgotten. His speech in 2015 was a fitting swan song for a man who dedicated his life to the struggle for African liberation. But what about the relevance of Mugabe's words today? Are his words still applicable to the continent's quest for unity and self-determination? Well, it depends on your perspective. Some might argue that Mugabe's ideas are outdated and no longer relevant in today's world. They might point to the fact that many African countries are still struggling with basic problems such as poverty and inequality, and that Mugabe's focus on unity and Pan-Africanism is misguided. Others, however, would argue that Mugabe's words are more relevant than ever. They would argue that the challenges facing Africa today are largely the same as those that Mugabe identified in his speech, and that his call for unity and self-reliance is still a powerful message. Ultimately, it is up to each individual to decide whether or not Mugabe's words are still relevant. But one thing is for sure, his speech was a powerful and moving call for the people of Africa to come together and build a better future for the continent. And that message continues to resonate with many Africans today. And there you have it, a glimpse into the world of Robert Mugabe and his enduring legacy. His 2025 vision for a united Africa continues to captivate and inspire many across the continent and beyond. We hope you enjoyed this journey through his words and the impact they've had on our collective consciousness. If you found this video insightful, please don't hesitate to show your support. Your likes and shares truly mean the world to us and help spread awareness about important topics like Mugabe's vision for Africa. Remember, every like and share brings us closer to our goal of reaching more audiences and making history come alive for everyone. So let's keep the momentum going and continue to explore, learn and grow together. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged and above all, stay inspired. Let's keep the conversation going. Do you think Mugabe's dream of a united Africa is still relevant today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters. Let's discuss.